Development Director for the Port of Kennewick. Appreciate you joining us this afternoon as we walk through some of the tools that we're using to capture your input online in this unique and challenging time. The Port has been undertaking a master planning effort for the Kennewick waterfront properties that the Port owns since about March of this year. We had a first major public outreach process with some identified stakeholders, then a online forum to capture a bunch of ideas from the folks. Basically, what ingredients would you like to see along your waterfront? And the Makers Architectural and Urban Design team has been helping us through this whole process. Now we're in the second stage where those ingredients that were shared a month and a half or so ago have been placed on the map in some scenarios. And there's two layouts, and we're asking for your input. What do you like? What do you don't like? And it's not an either or, but what bits and pieces of each one you might like. What are some elements that are missing? Or possibly what are some items that just shouldn't be on the map? Maybe it sounded good on an idea board or in a sentence, but it just doesn't fit on the map. So we're going to be walking you through how some of those tools are used, where we're at in the process, and where we go from here. This open house forum that we have, the second round, will be open through the midnight on Sunday, the 18th of October. With us, Julie Bassick, Erica Bush, and Beth Batchelder. Did I enunciate that correctly? From the Makers team. And at this point, I'll be quiet and turn it over to the Makers team.
Thank you, Larry. Nice job on the names. Welcome, everyone. As Larry said, Erica, Beth, and I are here to do a couple things this afternoon. We're gonna remind you about the project, give you a quick overview. We're gonna summarize the amazing feedback we got in phase 1 of our outreach efforts. And then we're gonna introduce the two alternatives and the stage we're at. And then Beth is gonna spend a few moments walking around the social pinpoint tool and showing you how you can provide feedback so that you feel free to do that during this meeting or later, and you can share with your friends and family. Okay, let's take it away. I will also say we'll be trying to man the chat while we're doing this presentation. So if you have any questions you want to put in, go ahead and put them in the chat or raise your hand and we'll call on you at the end. Okay, so in case you are just joining, are new to this process, or as a refresher, if you've been involved with us every step of the way, this project is about updating the Clover Island Master Plan that was completed in 2005, so 15 years old, and really excitingly taking a step back to tie it into the greater context of the entire waterfront district that it is adjacent to. We're focusing on port-owned property here because that is where the port can have the most direct influence on the vision and the development. But as you'll see, many of the good ideas that have been already generated in this process really involve partnerships and projects that will take multiple parties to implement. So the plan is intended, it's future looking, so it's acknowledging the amazing businesses and some of the new energy that's occurring, and then how the entire community and area is evolving over time. And the plan itself will help position this whole area so that it can, over a series of phased investments, by the port, by the private sector, by the city, can evolve into what we envision here and is captured in this plan. So as I said, our 3 goals today: summarizing phase 1 feedback, reviewing the 2 draft alternatives, and then walking through the open house. Our open house was really incredible. It exceeded our expectations in terms of volume and participants, as well as the quality of the inputs that we received. So we took over about 1,700 unique visitors came to the site. We got comments and input from about 100 people, and also had in-depth discussions with 56 stakeholders that provided the feedback that inspired the two alternatives we're going to present today. One fun thing to note is we asked people what their one word was to describe the waterfront district, and you can see lots of thoughts and hopes around the authentic nature of the district, the transitioning area, how much potential and opportunity it has, and how promising people feel. Really positive thoughts and feedback around the potential of the area. Now, this entire presentation is also available on the website. And so I'm going to really quickly hit some of the high points of the feedback so we can get right into the new material, which is the alternatives. So we had two activities at the prior open house, a map activity and the ideas wall. The themes that came through very clearly, people are attracted and want to enhance the water activities that are already occurring in the area. They're talking about improving access and transportation. They want more food and entertainment and arts and culture, and they're interested in more housing, more retail, more things to do and see in the area. Some highlights of the map activity on Clover Island. People are interested in enhancing some of the existing buildings, notably the hotel on the island. They're wanting to add more water activities and more restaurants and shopping. On Columbia Drive, on the three key properties, the Willows, Columbia Gardens, and Cable Greens, people are envisioning more mixed use, fun, residential activity, places to picnic or play in the water. Some concerns in the area were around access. So this was a theme. We heard that people really want the pathways to be continued and finished. So you can make it most of the way around Clover Island, most of the way around Duffy's Pond now. It's a real priority from the community and those that have participated so far to improve those pathways, to connect them and improve the aesthetics and safety along the way. Final wrap up on phase one outreach. There were about a half a dozen takeaways that we think summarize all of the feedback we've received. So there's a lot to build on here. The views, the lighthouse, the river. Most people were really positive about the investment the port and business owners have already made in the district. Completed trails and safety improvements are going to benefit everyone, businesses, the poor, pedestrians, bicyclists. People love the new wine village and food truck and want to build on that and add amenities to that area. There are some nighttime safety concerns and areas that could be improved aesthetically and could just feel safer. But emphasizing the local authentic character of the businesses in the area is really a unique spot in the Tri-Cities and in Kennewick to build on. Finally, just remember parking. This area gets a lot of boat traffic and can be very busy on those peak weekends in the summer. Let's make sure that when we're thinking about future uses and adding demand to the area that we ensure that there's adequate parking so people can enjoy all those amenities that we hope evolve in this zone. Take it away, Beth.
All right. So we have developed two draft alternatives from the feedback that we received already. And these concepts are, based on that feedback. They have a bunch of different ideas that we're asking you to, you can be mixing and matching them so that we can come up with a preferred direction to go that's going to incorporate partnering with the city and local businesses as well as local property owners. And we're going to be bringing that eventually to the Port Commission in a refined draft recommendations. So some common elements to both of these alternatives. We want to make sure to address those access concerns. That means completing trails around both Clover Island and Duffy's Pond, as well as increasing the safety for pedestrians and cyclists, as well as the wayfinding around the district. And a lot of that also goes into supporting improvements that will be coming to Washington Street, as well as Columbia Drive. And then of course, formalizing some of that boat trailer parking near the ramp. All right, before I move forward, just to let you know, I'm just doing a review of the basic draft concepts here. Please feel free to ask questions, but we are wishing for you to put all your feedback on the online activities. So just make sure to have it captured all there. All right. So our two draft concepts. The first one is the activity destination. This envisions this waterfront district to be a spot that has increased activities and things for people to do that really draws the community as well as tourists into the area. The other concept we have is a residential hub. This envisions the waterfront district to be a new residential neighborhood that's really just has amenities and things that are welcoming to people of all ages and abilities. So for the activity destination, lodging is going to include things that are focused on tourism, such as maybe a boutique hotel or vacation rentals. Amenities are going to be things that are fun and activity related, with entertainment opportunities and things that are going to really activate this area at night. And then, of course, something that brings a lot of people in would be recreation. Making sure that there's things like equipment rentals, bicycle, scooter, things that people can actually use that help people to really enjoy this area. So for Clover Island, on right near the lighthouse, as you can see, A1, we are suggesting a boutique hotel that also has event space for rentals, just to really activate that area and make sure that it's usable. A2 and A3 is going to be its own little cluster with some vacation condo rentals, art, gathering space, as well as some activities that people can enjoy, you know, restaurants, retail, covered recreational space. And then on the east side of the island, next to Clover Island Inn, we're really wanting to capitalize on that completed pedestrian pathway and have a permanent performance space and lookout point for those people to be able to enjoy down there. Are there any questions real quick before I move on? All right. Next one. So if we go to Columbia Drive, we have the condos that are over at the Cables Greens over here. And then completing the trail that is around Duffy's Pond, also connecting that to the Duffy's Pond Park and to the Sacagawea Heritage Trail through that boardwalk connection across the water, which is kind of exciting. A8 and A9 really encompasses a bunch of different rentals and activity spots with, you know, activities, rentals, brewery, restaurant, winery, stuff like that. And then over at the Willows and A10, that's going to be a new mixed use residential area with a bunch of different types of housing options and ways for people to have retail possibilities on the bottom so that it really activates that area. And then of course, the added potential pedestrian, bike, and vehicle connection. So this is our activity destination recommendation. I'm not sure if anybody has any comments before we move on, or just questions.
Yeah, no comments because we want your comments on Social Pinpoint. But if you have any major questions or clarification, now would be a great time.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Water to Wine Cruises. And is there any talk about putting a dock down there anywhere where we'd like to bring more boats here and create more opportunities on the river, but dock space is very limited around here. So is that be considered at all?
I'll jump in here. That's a great question, and I definitely invite you to put that suggestion in Social Pinpoint. I think we have heard a lot of suggestions about enhancing in-water activities. Our scope is really focused on the upland. We're not, you know, we know there's a lot of environmental issues and et cetera for in-water improvements. I would say for now, it's not our area of focus, but it certainly would meet the criteria of the activity destination. So throw it in, we'll talk it over with the port and see where it lands.
All right, thank you.
All right, on to the residential hub. So this envisions the lodging to be a lot of different types of housing options for folks. Amenities would be things to really augment that area with a grocery market, coffee shop, boutique shops, all that kind of stuff. And then of course, recreational opportunities for the folks that are living in that area, such as playground, you know, water park, that kind of stuff. On Clover Island, we have out by the lighthouse, we have an artisan market with a bunch of local goods, food, entertainment, just really trying to activate that corner. B2 and B3 would be a mixture of unique island living condos, amenities such as, you know, restaurants, sports equipment rentals, stuff to activate that little area. And then of course, on the east side of the island, we have that performance space and trying to make it an open gathering space for folks to be able to enjoy that and views of the beautiful Cable Bridge. Around the area around Columbia Drive, we have some townhomes over on B5 that has that beautiful vegetated buffer. Still completed trail work around Duffy's Pond that connects with that boardwalk connection over Duffy's Pond to Sacagawea Heritage Trail. And then where the Columbia Gardens Winery Village is right now, we're going to augment that with some more amenities and areas for folks to be able to enjoy recreation, cafes, bakeries, and whatnot. And then B10, B11 over near the Willows, that's going to be a whole new residential community with courtyard space and a pond for folks to be able to really enjoy this area with a mixed use development with groceries space at the bottom. And then of course that added pedestrian, bike, and vehicle connection. Does anybody have any really clarifying questions on the residential concept? All right. Just to tie in before we go to the online activities portion, we are right now, of course, in our second phase of this project. We have one more phase to go with the preferred plan. And the stars are definitely spots where we are hoping that you as community members can really engage and give us feedback. So we would love your assistance. Please go ahead and forward this to everybody that you know. Ask everybody to get involved. We want every and all comments. And just stick on this for a second. We can always go back to the main project page. And then of course, Erica Bush and I are working to be able to assist you with your comments on the project or technical comments that come with this open house. So let me just stop that share and then I'll get to the online tools. Does anybody have any questions while I switch programs? All right. So here's the main project page, just to give you an orientation. I'm sure this is definitely how you found out how to be here today. Just to make sure that you know, the Port of Kennewick's website is really informative. It has lots of different information on their ongoing projects, including things like the willows and cable greens that are incorporated into this master plan. And if you scroll down, you can see that that feedback document that summarizes the feedback from phase 1 that Julie was talking about. So feel free to check that out. And then of course, the tools that we're going to be talking about today. This would be the concept interactive map, as well as the survey that you can actually reach when you get to the concept map. So if you open up the map, You can see that the two concepts are right here, and it's really easy to be able to scroll in and move it around if you just click and drag. So that's the first orientation. And then your sidebar is going to be your best friend with a bunch of different ways that you can really get to know the activity. So the information and instructions area is going to help you remember what these two different concepts are about, and to let you know what we are looking for, which is we're looking for comments that are ideas and suggestions or maybe some concerns. And then just to orient you to the different concepts, we have some pictures and the legend and key that help you to understand the different details of each, so that you can just review those at your leisure. And the same goes with concept B. You can just zoom in and out as you want and look and make sure to check out all the different details on those keys. And when you're ready, so say I wanted to go ahead and get into this concept B and add a comment. So I really like this main large courtyard around the Veterans Memorial. So you click add a comment, and I would click ideas and suggestions. So I'm going to add that right there, place marker here, and just say, I really like this spot. And then I would add my name and my postcode as well as my email address. You can also add a picture if you want, and then just click add the comment. And you can also, as you're interacting with all of this, you can look at other people's comments and you can join the discussion. And sometimes people will have multiple comments that are added to theirs. You can also like or dislike it and share things on social media if you want. And definitely continue to zoom in and out and see all the different things that are encompassed within each concept. And one last thing to orient you to this activity page would be the survey. So I recommend doing this after you have gone through all the different concepts and given all your feedback. This survey is really quick, just asks you what's your favorite things about each concept, what do you like, what do you not like, and then what's your favorite concept overall, and give us just one suggestion on how to improve that. So be sure to not miss the survey on the left side here. You can also access that survey by sticking on that main page and taking the survey right here as well. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, Boyce Burdick. Has any thought been given as to how development on Clover Island will conflict with or complement development at Vista Field? It looks like this is something that can be done very much in the short term, whereas Vista Field seems to be a little more distant.
That's a great question. I think there's a couple things to consider. So the approach that I believe the Port and the project team are taking is that this is a really unique setting right here along the river with Clover Island, with Duffy's Pond, with the historic flavor, with the bridges, and then in its adjacency to downtown Kennewick. And so it's not really thought of as competing projects, but rather two projects that try to build a pretty different feeling neighborhood. So that's the first thing I'd say. And the second thing I'd say is I think your point about how long it's going to take, I think that just given economic ups and downs, especially what we're all living through right now, we anticipate that full development of this district might take quite a few years. So we're trying to take a long view of the future development that will occur, you know, maybe decades from now, and then work through it step by step to make sure we get there. And we can identify near-term actions and activation and fun things to do in the interim. So I hope you're right that this is quicker, but just in case, we want to make sure we give it time to happen, as well as activate and make improvements all along the way. And I don't know, Larry, if you want to add anything to your Vista Field, you know, with that in mind.
I would add just briefly that both properties benefit from the same urban mixed-use zoning that provides quite a bit of flexibility. Vista Field benefits from being in the center of the community next to the regional shopping, the convention activities, the public facilities, and this site benefits from waterfront proximity. So both have great opportunities, and some of them there's some constant underlying benefits for both, but the waterfront and the Vista Field are two different redevelopment projects that the Port is undertaking that at present we're not seeing one competing with the other, but potentially complementing the other.
Yeah, Thomas Kastner, I see your hand.
Thank you. I'm a little bit confused about these concepts because the alternatives between a activity destination versus a residential solution are in fact complementary. That, you know, having residential density in an area helps support local businesses and local activities. And so I wonder if there isn't a third alternative that takes the best of both of those and tries to create a scheme that has the sufficient density to support activities and has the sufficient activities to bring people to the island who are not natural residents. So maybe in the course of this process going on, my confusion will be allayed.
Thomas, I can respond to that. I think that's exactly what this process is about. So it is, in fact, trying to look at the extremities of these two sort of areas of development. And then through this process and hearing from all of you, that process will be sort of consummated into one plan that does just that, that tries to build those two sort of fitting factors into each other to make the strongest possible ongoing development plan.
And if you see features in either option that you think would be complementary, please put it in the tool so we know what are the best parts to build into one, to compile into one.
And Larry Peterson here, this is a good opportunity to throw in the pitch. The Port is focused on planning with the community and not for the community. So that's why this interactive process, and we heard from some folks in the first round, make it all residential or don't have any residential, make the whole island such as and they gave some various examples. So the makers team has done a good job of setting the two ends of the spectrum, and the exact combination of some of these uses need to be tied together to help with vibrancy of one or the other. So again, we want to plan with the community. So what is your input? Because this plan can't just be adopted by the Port Commission because those folks change, or the city council. It has to be adopted by the community. It has to be the community's plan, because this will take a decade plus to implement. So we need to have the community's buy-in to see this through.
That's right. And I would just reiterate, in addition to the comment earlier about there being more port access or water access on site, obviously, you know, we haven't put every possible opportunity for every activity on these plans. That was part of the initial visioning, but we assumed that possibly not everyone who's going to be seeing these was able to participate in that visioning exercise. So if there are activities, there are features that you feel should be here, but still aren't being shown in either of these concepts, feel free to continue to add in those thoughts as well.
I can speak to one of the comments or provided or asked about, will the port be selling land or leasing land? The general policy that the commission has undertaken since the 40s has been Clover Island is a lease only opportunity, but that is a commission policy. The nearshore properties on the Columbia Drive area, the port has been contemplating sale since those were acquired, some of those back in 2007. So Island is thought to be a lease only scenario with purchase opportunities onshore, and the private sector needs to know that these are in the opportunity zone, which has some tax benefits at present that I believe lasts for a 10-year period.
Any other questions? All right. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. This presentation will be available to view on the Ports Project website as well after this, but feel free to check out the Ports website and interact with all the different open house tools, and we would appreciate your feedback. Thanks so much, everybody, for attending today.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right.
Thank you all.